The late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the glass and steel facade of Whitmore Technologies headquarters in downtown Nashville. From her corner office on the 42nd floor, Victoria Whitmore stood motionless at the window, her perfectly tailored navy suit reflecting her trademark precision. At 48, she commanded one of the fastest-growing tech companies in the nation, a woman whose decisions could move markets and whose reputation for ruthless efficiency preceded her in every boardroom. Her phone buzzed with its 20th notification of the hour. Victoria ignored it, her steely gray eyes fixed on the skyline. Tonight was supposed to be different. Tonight, she had promised Lily. "Mrs. Whitmore?" Her assistant's voice crackled through the intercom. "Your car is waiting downstairs. You asked to leave by 5:30. Victoria glanced at her Rolex. 5:28. She gathered her leather briefcase, the weight of unfinished contracts inside a familiar burden. As she walked past the rows of cubicles, employees straightened in their chairs, eyes following her path with a mixture of respect and fear. She had built this empire from nothing, and everyone knew the cost of that achievement. The black Mercedes waited at the curb, engine running. Her driver, an older gentleman named Charles Patterson, who had worked for the family for 12 years, opened the rear door. "Good evening, Mrs. Whitmore. Shall we head to the residence first?" "Yes, we're picking up Lily and Robert." Victoria settled into the leather seat, pulling out her tablet. Even during the 15-minute drive, she could review the quarterly reports. The George Strait concert, if I'm not mistaken. Charles merged into traffic, his tone carefully neutral. "Unfortunately," the word slipped out before Victoria could catch it. She noticed Charles's eyes in the rear-view mirror and added, "I mean, it should be enjoyable. Lily's been looking forward to it." The Whitmore estate in Belle Meade sat behind iron gates and perfectly manicured hedges. The three-story colonial home, painted a pristine white with black shutters, represented old money meeting new success. Victoria had purchased it 7 years ago, right after Whitmore Technologies went public. Inside, chaos reigned in Lily's second-floor bedroom. The 16-year-old stood before her mirror, trying on her 5th outfit of the evening. Jeans and a vintage country band t-shirt lay discarded on the bed, alongside 2 dresses her mother had suggested. She had settled on dark jeans, brown leather boots, and a cream-colored blouse with embroidered flowers, a compromise between her own style and what she knew her mother would tolerate. "Lily, your mother's here." Robert Whitmore's voice carried up the stairs, warm and patient in a way that Victoria's never was. Lily grabbed her small crossbody purse and took one last look in the mirror. Her long auburn hair fell in natural waves past her shoulders, and her green eyes, the only feature she shared with her mother, sparkled with anticipation. She had been counting down to this concert for 3 months, ever since her father surprised her with tickets for her 16th birthday. Robert waited at the bottom of the stairs, his casual button-down and slacks a stark contrast to his wife's corporate armor. At 51, he still carried himself with the easy confidence of the college baseball player he'd once been, before a shoulder injury redirected his path toward architecture. His firm designed some of Nashville's most innovative buildings, but he had always maintained that his greatest creation was his family. "You look beautiful, sweetheart." He smiled as Lily descended, her boots clicking on the marble floors. "Thanks, Dad." She hugged him quickly. "Is Mom in a good mood?" Robert's pause answered her question before his words could. "She had a long day at the office. Just be patient with her, okay?" The front door opened, and Victoria's heels announced her arrival with sharp, decisive clicks. "Are we ready? The concert starts at 7:30, and I want to avoid traffic near Bridgestone Arena." "Hi, Mom." Lily approached cautiously, like someone approaching a wild animal. "Thanks for coming tonight. I know you're busy." Victoria's expression softened almost imperceptibly. She reached out and adjusted the collar of Lily's blouse. "Of course. It's important to you." Her fingers lingered for a moment on her daughter's shoulder before she pulled away. "Shall we go?" The drive into downtown Nashville should have been pleasant. The city glowed in the evening light, its famous honky-tonks already filling with tourists and locals alike. But the interior of the Mercedes felt like a pressure cooker, silence stretching uncomfortably between them. Charles navigated through Broadway, past the neon signs of Tootsie's Orchid Lounge and Robert's Western World. Country music spilled from every doorway, the heartbeat of a city that lived and breathed the genre. For Lily, pressed against the window, it was magic. For Victoria, it represented everything she had fought to distance herself from. "Did you finish your college application essays?" Victoria's question cut through the silence. Lily's shoulders tensed. "Most of them. I still have the supplemental for Stanford." "That's the priority. The deadline is in 3 weeks." Victoria scrolled through her phone, not looking up. "I've arranged for you to meet with admissions consultant Jennifer Hartley next Tuesday. She's helped several senators' children." "Mom, we've talked about this. I'm not sure Stanford is..." "Is what?" Victoria finally looked up, her gray eyes sharp. "One of the best universities in the world? A guaranteed path to success? What exactly are you unsure about, Lily?" Robert cleared his throat from the front passenger seat. "Victoria, let's not do this tonight. We're supposed to be having fun." "Fun doesn't get you into top-tier universities, Robert. You know as well as I do that Lily's future depends on the decisions she makes right now." Lily sank deeper into her seat, the excitement of moments ago evaporating. This was the pattern. Her mother's love always came wrapped in expectations, in plans and projections that never included what Lily actually wanted. "I have a 4.2 GPA, Mom. I'm in 3 AP classes. I volunteer at the community center. What more do you want from me? I want you to want more for yourself." Victoria's voice carried that edge of steel that closed negotiations and silenced boardrooms. "I want you to understand that the world doesn't reward mediocrity or impractical dreams." The last 2 words hung in the air like smoke. Impractical dreams. They both knew what Victoria meant. Lily's notebooks filled with song lyrics, her guitar hidden in the back of her closet, the country music that played softly from her room when she thought no one was listening. Charles pulled into the VIP parking area near Bridgestone Arena. The massive venue loomed before them, its exterior screens already displaying images of George Strait, the king of country himself. Fans streamed toward the entrances, many wearing cowboy hats and boots, their excitement palpable in the cooling evening air. "We have seats in section 103, row A." Robert consulted his phone, deliberately changing the subject. "Right near the stage." Lily's spirits lifted slightly. She had memorized every George Strait song since she was 12, when her father first played Amarillo by Morning during a road trip. Something about his voice, honest, authentic, unpretentious, spoke to a part of her that felt suffocated in her mother's world of quarterly reports and strategic planning. They made their way through the arena's corridors, past concession stands selling beer and nachos, past merchandise tables displaying T-shirts and posters. Victoria walked slightly ahead, her posture rigid, as if she were heading into a hostile takeover meeting rather than a concert. Robert and Lily followed, exchanging glances that communicated volumes without words. Their seats were indeed exceptional. Front row, stage left, with an unobstructed view of where George Strait would perform. The arena filled rapidly, the crowd's energy building with each passing minute. Lily took in everything: the families with young children wearing miniature cowboy hats, the elderly couples who had probably been dancing to George Strait songs for decades, the groups of friends already singing along to the pre-show music. "This is amazing, Dad." Lily squeezed Robert's hand. "Thank you so much for this." "You're welcome, sweetheart. Happy birthday, even if it's 3 months late." He grinned, and for a moment, the tension of the car ride faded. Victoria sat stiffly in her seat, checking her phone one last time before the show. An email from her CFO demanded immediate attention. There were concerns about the Q4 projections. Her fingers hovered over the screen, ready to type a response. "Victoria." Robert's voice was gentle but firm. "Tonight isn't about work. Please." She looked at him, then at Lily, whose eyes pleaded silently. With visible effort, Victoria powered down her phone and placed it in her purse. "Fine. I'm here. I'm present." But being physically present and emotionally present were two different things, and all three of them knew it. The lights dimmed at exactly 7:30. The crowd erupted into cheers as the opening act took the stage. A young duo from Texas, whose harmonies filled the arena with warmth. Lily leaned forward, absorbing every note, every lyric, every gesture. This was her world, the one she kept hidden from her mother's disapproving gaze. During the 30-minute opening set, Lily sang along softly, her voice blending with thousands of others. Robert noticed and smiled. His daughter had inherited her grandmother's gift for music, though Victoria refused to acknowledge it. His mother, Patricia Whitmore, had been a respected session singer in Nashville before emphysema claimed her voice, and eventually her life when Lily was only 7. Victoria had never approved of Patricia's career, viewing it as unstable and beneath the family's aspirations. "You sound beautiful," Robert whispered to Lily during a quieter moment. "Thanks, Dad." She blushed, conscious of her mother's presence on Robert's other side. Victoria had heard the comment and watched her daughter sing, something uncomfortable stirring in her chest. The expression on Lily's face, pure joy, complete absorption, was foreign to Victoria's experience. She couldn't remember the last time she had felt that kind of unfiltered happiness. Perhaps she never had. The opening act finished to enthusiastic applause. Stagehands rushed to prepare for the main event, adjusting microphones and guitar stands. The anticipation in the arena reached a fever pitch. Lily practically vibrated with excitement, her hands clasped together as if in prayer. "Are you okay?" Robert asked Victoria quietly. "I'm fine." Why wouldn't I be fine? But her jaw was clenched, her shoulders rigid. "Because I know this isn't easy for you. Being here in Nashville, surrounded by country music, it brings back memories of your mother." Victoria's mother, Catherine Brennan, had chased her own country music dreams to Nashville 40 years ago, leaving behind a young Victoria with her stern grandmother in Connecticut. Catherine had waitressed, sung in dive bars, and chased record deals that never materialized, eventually succumbing to alcohol and poor decisions. She died when Victoria was 19, having never achieved the success she'd sacrificed everything for. "This has nothing to do with her," Victoria said sharply. "I'm here because Lily wants to be here, that's all." But Robert knew better. He had been married to Victoria for 18 years, and he understood that her crusade to steer Lily toward a practical career wasn't just about success, it was about protection. Victoria was determined that her daughter would never experience the poverty, the disappointment, the endless string of almosts that had defined Catherine's life. The arena went black. The crowd roared. A single spotlight illuminated the stage, and then, with no fanfare or elaborate production, George Strait walked out. He was exactly as Lily had imagined, unpretentious, authentic. Dressed in his signature style of Western shirt, jeans, and cowboy hat. At 73, he still commanded the stage with the same understated confidence that had made him a legend. His band started the opening notes of "Amarillo by Morning," and the entire arena seemed to breathe as one. Lily's eyes filled with tears. This moment, this perfect moment, was everything she'd dreamed of. The pure, honest sound of real country music, performed by a man who had never compromised his artistic integrity, never chased trends or tried to be something he wasn't. George Strait's voice filled the arena, that distinctive baritone that had defined country music for 4 decades. The song spoke of rodeo cowboys and endless highways, of dreams pursued despite the odds. Lily knew every word, every inflection, and as she sang along softly, something shifted inside her. She glanced at her mother, who sat watching the stage with an expression Lily couldn't quite read. Was it boredom, discomfort, or something deeper? Something Victoria would never admit to feeling. The song ended to thunderous applause. George Strait smiled, that genuine smile that had charmed millions, and tipped his hat to the crowd. "Good evening, Nashville." His voice was warm, welcoming. "It's good to be home." The arena erupted again. George launched into Check Yes or No, a fan favorite that had everyone singing along. Lily found herself standing, swaying to the music, lost in the moment. Around her, thousands of people shared this collective joy, this celebration of songs that had provided the soundtrack to their lives. Victoria remained seated, her hands folded in her lap. She watched her daughter's face, saw the pure happiness there, and felt something crack in the carefully constructed walls she had built around her heart. This was why she had fought so hard against Lily's musical interests, because she recognized that expression. She had seen it on her own mother's face, right before another disappointment, another rejection, another night of tears. Robert reached over and squeezed Victoria's hand. She didn't pull away. George Strait moved through his set with the confidence of a master craftsman. Song after song, hit after hit. The Chair, Oceanfront Property, All My Exes Live in Texas. The arena sang along to every word, creating a chorus of voices that transcended age, background, and experience. During I Cross My Heart, couples throughout the arena held each other close. Robert stood and offered his hand to Victoria. She hesitated for just a moment before taking it, allowing him to pull her into a gentle sway. Lily watched her parents dance, seeing a glimpse of the connection they must have shared before the weight of expectations and disappointments settled between them. When the song ended, Victoria sat down quickly, as if embarrassed by the moment of vulnerability. But something had shifted, some small crack in her armor. George Strait addressed the crowd again, his voice carrying easily through the excellent acoustics. "You know, I've been doing this for a long time, 40-some years now. And the best part of these shows isn't just the music. It's seeing all of you, seeing families making memories together." He paused, his eyes scanning the front rows. "In fact, I like to do something special at every show. I like to bring someone up here to sing with me. Someone who loves this music as much as I do." The crowd screamed, hands shooting up everywhere. Lily's heart raced. She knew she should raise her hand, should take this chance, but fear paralyzed her. What if she messed up? What if her mother was humiliated? What if? George Strait's eyes landed on their section. He smiled and pointed. "How about you, young lady? In the cream blouse. Would you like to come up and sing with an old cowboy?" Time stopped. Lily's breath caught in her throat. He was pointing at her. George Strait was pointing at her. Robert immediately nudged her. "Lily, go! This is your moment." But Lily sat frozen, her mind racing. Years of being told to be practical, to focus on her studies, to keep her music private warred with the desperate desire to say yes. She looked at her mother, seeking, what? Permission? Approval? Victoria's face had gone pale. "Lily, you don't have to. She wants to." "Victoria." Robert's voice was firm. "Let her." Security personnel approached their row, ready to escort Lily to the stage. The crowd around them cheered, encouraging her. George Strait waited patiently, his hand still extended in invitation. I, Lily stammered. "Go, sweetheart," Robert urged. "You'll regret it forever if you don't." Something in his words broke through the paralysis. Lily stood on shaking legs, her heart pounding so hard she could hear it over the crowd noise. The security guard smiled and gestured for her to follow him. As Lily stepped into the aisle, she heard her mother's voice, tight with barely controlled emotion. "Lily, wait!" But it was too late. The security guard was already leading her toward the stage stairs, and the crowd was cheering louder than ever. Lily glanced back once, seeing her father giving her an encouraging thumbs up, and her mother sitting rigid in her seat, her face a mask of conflicting emotions. George Strait met Lily at the top of the stairs, his smile warm and genuine. "What's your name, sweetheart?" "Lily." Her voice barely carried over the sound system. "Lily Whitmore." "Well, Lily Whitmore, do you know Amarillo by Morning?" Did she know it? It was only her favorite song in the entire world. The one she sang in her room when no one was listening. The one that made her believe that honest, heartfelt music could still matter in a world obsessed with auto-tune and manufactured pop stars. "Yes, sir, I do." Her voice was stronger now. "Excellent. Then let's give these folks a show." George positioned her next to him at the microphone, and his band started the familiar opening notes. In the audience, Victoria gripped the armrests of her chair so tightly, her knuckles turned white. This was her worst nightmare, unfolding in real time. Her daughter, exposed and vulnerable, chasing the same impossible dream that had destroyed her grandmother and broken her own mother's heart. George Strait started singing, his voice filling the arena with that opening verse. And then it was Lily's turn to join in on the chorus. What happened next would change everything. Lily's voice joined George Strait's on the chorus of "Amarillo by Morning," and the entire Bridgestone Arena seemed to hold its collective breath. Her voice was pure and powerful, carrying a depth of emotion that belied her 16 years. It wasn't technically perfect. There was a slight tremor in her first note, a moment of uncertainty that made it achingly human. But then something magical happened. Lily closed her eyes, forgot about the 15,000 people watching, forgot about her mother's disapproving gaze, and simply sang. The tone was rich and authentic, with the same unpretentious quality that made George Strait a legend. She didn't oversing or add unnecessary flourishes. Instead, she delivered the lyrics with honest emotion, each word weighted with meaning. Her voice blended beautifully with George's, creating a harmony that sent chills through the crowd. "Amarillo by Morning," "Up from San Antone," they sang together, and Lily's voice soared on the high notes with surprising confidence. "Everything that I got is just what I've got on." In the front row, Robert Whitmore felt tears streaming down his face. His daughter, his beautiful, talented daughter, was fulfilling a dream she barely allowed herself to acknowledge. He pulled out his phone and started recording, capturing this moment that he knew would define Lily's life in ways none of them could yet comprehend. Beside him, Victoria sat as still as a statue. Her face had drained of all color, and her breathing had become shallow and rapid. She wanted to look away, to close her eyes and make this moment disappear, but she couldn't. She was transfixed by the sight of her daughter on that stage, by the raw talent that Victoria had spent years trying to redirect toward more practical pursuits. The crowd had started swaying, their phone lights creating a sea of stars throughout the arena. Many were recording this unexpected moment, already imagining the view counts when they uploaded it to social media. Something special was happening, and everyone could feel it. George Strait, who had performed with countless artists over his legendary career, looked genuinely impressed. As they moved through the second verse, he stepped back slightly, giving Lily more prominence at the microphone. It was a gesture of respect, an acknowledgement that this young woman had something real. Lily opened her eyes and looked out at the massive crowd. Instead of fear, she felt a rush of pure exhilaration. This was where she belonged. This was what she was meant to do. Every nerve in her body sang with the rightness of this moment. The bridge approached, and George Strait nodded at Lily, gesturing for her to take it solo. The band dropped down to just acoustic guitar, creating an intimate soundscape that showcased the raw emotion in Lily's voice. "I ain't rich, but Lord, I'm free," she sang. And the words felt like a confession, a declaration of independence. "Amarillo by morning, Amarillo I'll see." Her voice cracked slightly on the last word, not from technical failure, but from genuine emotion. It was that imperfection, that vulnerability, that made the moment transcendent. This wasn't a polished performance by a seasoned professional. It was a 16-year-old girl pouring her heart out in front of thousands of strangers, singing about freedom and dreams and the courage to chase what matters. The arena erupted. People were on their feet, cheering, crying, capturing every second on their phones. George Strait's band brought the full instrumentation back for the final chorus, and Lily and George sang together one last time, their voices intertwining in perfect harmony. As the last notes faded, George Strait turned to Lily and pulled her into a hug. "You've got something special, young lady," he said directly into her ear, away from the microphone. "Don't let anyone tell you different." The crowd's roar was deafening. Lily stood at the center of the stage, overwhelmed and euphoric, tears streaming down her face. This was the best moment of her life. Nothing could touch this feeling, this validation, this perfect Lily Catherine Whitmore. The voice cut through the applause like a knife through silk. It came from the front row, amplified by rage and something deeper, something that sounded like fear. Victoria had stood up. In her expensive suit and heels, surrounded by fans in jeans and cowboy boots, she looked completely out of place. Her face was no longer pale. It was flushed with anger, her gray eyes blazing with an intensity that made people in the surrounding rows take a step back. "Get down from there right now!" The crowd's cheers faltered, confused. Security guards looked at each other, uncertain how to handle this situation. George Strait's smile faded as he recognized the fury of an angry parent. Lily stood frozen at the microphone, her moment of triumph turning to ash. "Mom, I said now!" Victoria's voice shook with barely controlled fury. She pushed past Robert, who tried to grab her arm, and marched toward the stage stairs. The arena had gone almost completely silent now. 15,000 people watching a private family drama unfold in public. Phones that had been recording Lily's triumphant performance now captured her humiliation. Victoria stormed up the stage stairs, her heels clicking ominously on the metal steps. Security moved to intercept her, but something in her expression, the cold determination of a woman who had negotiated billion-dollar deals and crushed corporate rivals, made them hesitate just long enough for her to reach the stage. George Strait stepped forward, trying to de-escalate. "Ma'am, I apologize if you stay out of this." Victoria's words were clipped, precise, each syllable a weapon. She grabbed Lily's arm with a grip that would leave bruises. "We are leaving. Now." "Mom, please. I was just singing. Lily's voice broke, tears now flowing for an entirely different reason than moments before. Singing? Victoria laughed, but there was no humor in it. Making a spectacle of yourself in front of 15,000 people? Embarrassing our family? This is exactly the kind of impulsive, irresponsible behavior that will ruin your future. The microphone was still active. Every word Victoria spoke echoed through the arena, broadcast to an audience that had gone from cheering to horrified silence. Robert had made it to the stage now, his face stricken. Victoria, stop. Please. You're making this worse. Making it worse? Victoria rounded on him, still gripping Lily's arm. She just threw away any chance of being taken seriously by Stanford admissions. Do you think they want students who chase ridiculous fantasies instead of focusing on their academics? It was just one song, Lily sobbed, trying to pull away from her mother's grip. I didn't do anything wrong. You defied me. You prioritized this nonsense over everything we've worked for. Everything I've sacrificed to give you opportunities I never had. George Strait had backed away, clearly uncomfortable with being in the middle of this family crisis. His band stood silent, instruments idle. The entire arena watched, unable to look away from the train wreck unfolding before them. I'm sorry, Lily whispered, her voice barely audible. I'm sorry, Mom. I love music. I can't help it. Something flickered across Victoria's face. Pain, perhaps, or recognition of something she'd buried long ago. But she quickly buried it under layers of anger and control. Love doesn't pay bills. Love doesn't build careers. Love doesn't protect you from ending up like... She stopped abruptly, seeming to realize she was about to say too much. Like who? Robert asked quietly. Like your mother? Is that what you're afraid of? Victoria's jaw clenched. We are leaving. This conversation is over. She pulled Lily toward the stairs, her grip unrelenting. Lily stumbled in her boots, still crying. Her moment of joy completely shattered. Robert followed, his hand hovering near Victoria's shoulder, but not quite touching, knowing from experience that she was beyond reach right now. As they descended the stairs and made their way through the front row, the silence in the arena was deafening. People parted for them like the Red Sea, their expressions ranging from sympathy to judgment to uncomfortable voyeurism. Cameras followed their progress, capturing every moment of the Whitmore family's public meltdown. George Strait finally found his voice as they reached the exit. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up one more time for Lily. The applause that followed was uncertain, scattered, tinged with awkwardness. What had started as a magical moment had turned into something painful and complicated, and no one quite knew how to process it. Victoria marched through the arena corridors, still dragging Lily, who had gone nearly limp with humiliation and grief. Robert trailed behind, his phone already buzzing with texts from friends and colleagues who were watching the live streams that were undoubtedly already flooding social media. They burst through the exit doors into the cooling Nashville night. The sounds of the city, traffic, distant music from Broadway, the general hum of urban life seemed jarring after the controlled environment of the arena. Victoria, let go of her. Robert's voice was firm now, authoritative in a way he rarely used with his wife. You're hurting her. Victoria released Lily's arm as if it had burned her. Lily immediately backed away, cradling her arm, her face blotchy and swollen from crying. How could you? Lily's voice was raw with emotion. How could you humiliate me like that in front of everyone? How could I? Victoria laughed again, that same bitter sound. How could you? Do you have any idea what you've done? By tomorrow morning, videos of this will be everywhere. Your name will be attached to this disaster. College admissions officers will see this. Future employers will see this. You've damaged your reputation before you even had a chance to build one. Or maybe they'll see a talented young woman who was brave enough to seize an incredible opportunity. Robert interjected. Maybe they'll see someone with passion and courage. They'll see someone whose mother lost control in public, Victoria snapped. They'll see dysfunction and instability. They'll see exactly the kind of chaos that successful people avoid. Charles had pulled the Mercedes up to the curb, having been alerted by Robert's text. He stood by the open rear door, his expression carefully neutral, though his eyes betrayed sympathy for young Lily. "Let's go home," Robert said wearily. "We can talk about this there, in private." "There's nothing to talk about." Victoria smoothed her suit jacket, trying to regain some semblance of composure. "What's done is done. Now we focus on damage control." Lily climbed into the car without a word, curling into the far corner of the seat and turning her face toward the window. She felt hollowed out, as if all the joy from singing had been scooped away, leaving only shame and confusion. Victoria sat on the opposite end, her posture rigid, staring straight ahead. Robert took the front passenger seat, unable to bear sitting between them. Feeling the emotional chasm that had opened up in the space of 20 minutes. The drive back to Belmead was excruciating. No one spoke. The only sounds were the city traffic and the occasional notification ping from Robert's phone. Friends reaching out, questions about what they'd just witnessed, links to videos that were already being posted online. Robert silenced his phone and glanced back at his daughter. She was still crying silently, her shoulders shaking. His heart broke for her. This should have been the best night of her life, and instead, it had become a trauma she'd carry forever. "Lily," he started softly. "Don't." Victoria's voice was sharp. "Don't coddle her, Robert. She needs to understand the consequences of impulsive decisions. She's 16 years old, Victoria. She sang a song, that's all. She didn't rob a bank or hurt anyone. She sang a beautiful song with one of country music's greatest legends. And in doing so, she revealed herself to be exactly the kind of person who prioritizes momentary gratification over long-term success." Robert turned in his seat to face his wife. "Or she revealed herself to be a talented young woman with a gift she inherited from your mother-in-law? From my mother. A gift you've been trying to suppress for years because you're terrified." Victoria's eyes flashed dangerously. "Watch yourself, Robert." "No. I've watched long enough. I've watched you slowly suffocate our daughter with expectations and fear. I've watched you project your own trauma onto her, trying to prevent pain by preventing passion. It's not working, Victoria. Can't you see that? What I see is a husband who enables our daughter's fantasy instead of preparing her for reality. What I see is a wife who's so afraid of her daughter becoming her mother that she can't recognize when she's becoming her own mother. Controlling, critical, impossible to please." The words hit Victoria like a physical blow. She sucked in a sharp breath, her face going white again. Charles, ever professional, kept his eyes on the road, pretending not to hear the conversation unfolding behind him. "How dare you?" Victoria whispered. "Someone has to dare," Robert replied, his voice gentler now. "Someone has to tell you that you're destroying your relationship with our daughter. That video doesn't show Lily being irresponsible. It shows you being cruel." Victoria turned away, staring out her own window. Her jaw clenched so tightly, Robert could see the muscle jumping. In the back seat, Lily had finally stopped crying, listening to her parents' argument with a mixture of hope and despair. They pulled through the gates of the estate at 9:45. The colonial house stood illuminated against the night sky, a picture of southern elegance and prosperity. But the family that emerged from the Mercedes was fractured, each member carrying wounds that wouldn't heal quickly. Lily bolted from the car the moment it stopped, running up the front steps and disappearing into the house. Her bedroom door slammed with a force that echoed through the first floor. Victoria moved to follow, but Robert caught her arm. "Let her be. You've done enough damage for one night. Don't touch me." Victoria pulled away, but she didn't go after Lily. Instead, she walked to her home office on the first floor and closed the door quietly. A control that was somehow more ominous than slamming it would have been. Robert stood in the foyer, alone, listening to the silence of his broken family. His phone buzzed again. Against his better judgment, he pulled it out and opened his social media feed. The video was already there, posted by multiple concert-goers. The hashtag Lily Whitmore was trending. He clicked on one video and watched his daughter's voice fill his phone's speaker, watched her face light up with joy as she sang with George Strait. The comments section was filling rapidly. Thousands of people praising her talent, sharing the video, talking about the raw emotion in her performance. Then, the video continued to Victoria's interruption. Robert watched his wife storm the stage, watched the joy drain from Lily's face, heard Victoria's cutting words broadcast to millions of viewers. The comments shifted. "Poor girl," read one. "What kind of mother does that?" asked another. "This is emotional abuse," declared a third. Robert's stomach churned. Victoria had been right about one thing. By tomorrow, this would be everywhere. But she had been wrong about something crucial. The story wasn't going to be about an impulsive teenager making a scene. It was going to be about a controlling mother crushing her daughter's dreams in the cruelest possible way. He climbed the stairs to Lily's room and knocked softly. "Sweetheart, can I come in?" "Go away." Her voice was muffled, probably speaking into her pillow. "I'm coming in anyway." Robert opened the door carefully. Lily was face down on her bed, still wearing her concert outfit, her boots making dark marks on her white comforter. "Lily, I'm so sorry." "For what?" She rolled over, her face red and swollen. "For having a psycho mother. Not really your fault." "Don't say that. Your mother isn't... She's not a psycho. She's scared." "Of what? Of me being happy? Of me having my own dreams?" Robert sat on the edge of her bed. "Of you getting hurt. Of you ending up like her mother. Your grandmother, Catherine, who chased music dreams in Nashville and ended up broke, alone, and heartbroken." Lily sat up, wiping her nose with the back of her hand. "I didn't know," her grandmother sang. "Your mom doesn't talk about it. Catherine came to Nashville in the 80s, convinced she'd be the next Loretta Lynn. She waitressed at every honky-tonk on Broadway, sang at every open mic night, sent demos to every label. She lived in terrible apartments, ate ramen noodles for years, and put everything into her music career. What happened? She never made it. The big break never came. She got older, her voice got rougher from cigarettes and alcohol, and eventually, the dream died. She died when your mom was 19, still chasing that same impossible dream." Lily absorbed this, understanding clicking into place. "So Mom thinks if I love music, I'll end up like that?" She's terrified of it. She built her entire life as the opposite of her mother. Practical, successful, financially secure. She sees music as a trap that destroyed her childhood and her mother's life. "But it doesn't have to be like that," Lily protested. "I'm not stupid, Dad. I know the music industry is hard, but I'm also not planning to drop out of school and live in some rat-infested apartment. Why can't she understand that I can love music and have a responsible life?" Robert smiled sadly. "Because fear isn't rational, sweetheart. And trauma makes people do things that seem crazy from the outside, but make perfect sense when you understand where they're coming from. So, what do I do? Just give up everything I love to make her feel better?" No. You be patient. You be honest. You keep being yourself. But maybe try to understand where she's coming from, too. Lily flopped back on her bed. Did you see me tonight, Dad? Before Mom ruined everything? George Strait said I had something special. I saw you, sweetheart. I recorded it. He pulled out his phone and showed her the video. They watched together, Lily's voice filling the room. You were extraordinary, natural and genuine, and exactly what that stage needed. And now, everyone's going to remember tonight as the night my mother lost it in front of 15,000 people. Or they'll remember it as the night a talented young woman announced herself to the world. Robert kissed the top of her head. Try to get some sleep. Tomorrow will be complicated. He had no idea how much of an understatement that would prove to be. Lily woke at 6:30 Saturday morning to her phone exploding with notifications. Still groggy, she reached for it, squinting at the screen in the early morning light filtering through her bedroom curtains. 247 new Instagram followers, 312 Facebook friend requests. Her Twitter mentions were climbing so fast, the number kept changing as she watched. Text messages from friends, acquaintances, and people she barely knew from school filled her lock screen. Her heart racing, Lily opened Instagram. The first thing she saw was her own face. A screenshot from last night, mid-song, eyes closed, completely lost in the music. The hashtag Lily Whitmore had over 50,000 posts. She clicked on the hashtag with trembling fingers. Video after video of her performance filled the screen, each from a different angle, each capturing that magical moment when she and George Strait harmonized on Amarillo by Morning. The view counts were staggering. Hundreds of thousands, some already over 1 million. Comments flooded in faster than she could read them. This girl's voice is insane! Where has she been hiding? Someone give her a record deal immediately. The raw talent here is incredible. No auto-tune, no gimmicks, just pure voice and emotion. But then she scrolled further and found the other videos. The ones where her mother stormed the stage. Her stomach clenched as she watched herself being publicly humiliated. Victoria's angry voice cutting through the arena. Making a spectacle of yourself. Embarrassing our family. Ridiculous fantasies. The comments on these videos were different. This mother is destroying her daughter's confidence. This is heartbreaking to watch. Imagine having a gift like that and a parent who crushes it. Poor Lily. Victoria Whitmore should be ashamed of herself. That girl did nothing wrong. CEO mom can't stand not being the center of attention for 5 minutes. Classic narcissist. Lily's phone rang. Her best friend, Jessica Bryant, didn't wait for hello. Oh my God, Lily, you're famous. Do you know you're trending on Twitter? Like, not just in Nashville, everywhere. People in LA are talking about you. People in New York. I think I saw someone post from London. Jessica, I can't. This is too much. My mom is going to... Your mom is trending too, but, not in a good way. Have you checked Twitter? Lily switched apps with growing dread. Victoria. Whitmore was indeed trending. But unlike her daughter's mostly positive attention, the consensus on Victoria was brutal. Victoria Whitmore is the CEO of Whitmore Technologies, and apparently also the CEO of destroying her daughter's dreams. Imagine being so insecure that you can't let your talented child have one moment of joy. Victoria Whitmore is everything wrong with helicopter parenting. Just canceled my contract with Whitmore Technologies. Any company led by someone with such poor judgment and cruelty doesn't deserve my business. There were think pieces already being published. The viral video that exposes toxic parenting in high-achieving families. Why Victoria Whitmore's public meltdown matters. The mother-daughter dynamic that America can't stop watching. Lily's bedroom door opened. Robert stood there, still in his pajamas, his own phone in hand. His expression was weary, concerned. "You've seen it," he said. It wasn't a question. "Dad, what do I do? There are reporters calling. I have interview requests. Someone from Good Morning America wants to talk to me." Robert entered the room and sat on her bed. "First, you don't respond to anyone without talking to me and your mother. Second, you stay off social media for a bit. This is bigger than any of us expected. Where is Mom?" "In her office. She's been there since 5:30. Her company's board is in emergency session. Apparently, shareholders are concerned about the PR crisis and whether her personal instability affects her ability to lead." Lily felt a twinge of guilt. "This is my fault." "No." Robert's voice was firm. "This is not your fault. You sang a song. That's all. Your mother's reaction was her choice." Downstairs, Victoria sat at her mahogany desk, surrounded by 3 crisis management consultants, her company's head of PR, and 2 board members who had insisted on being present via video conference. Her laptop screen showed a dizzying array of articles, tweets, and videos, all dissecting the previous night's events. "The situation is complicated," said Daniel Foster, the lead crisis consultant, a man in his 60s with silver hair and an expensive suit. "On one hand, we have significant negative sentiment toward your actions at the concert. On the other hand, you're now one of the most talked-about CEOs in America, which creates certain opportunities." "I don't want opportunities from this disaster," Victoria interrupted, her voice tight. "I want it to go away." Jennifer Matthews, Whitmore Technologies' PR director, shook her head. "That's not going to happen, Victoria. The video has been viewed over 10 million times across all platforms. It's been picked up by every major news outlet. The Today Show is running a segment this morning. We're past containment. Now we're in damage control mode." On the video screen, board member Gregory Hawthorne cleared his throat. "Victoria, I need to be frank. Several major clients have expressed concerns. 3 have requested meetings to reassess our partnership. The stock is down 4% in pre-market trading." Victoria's jaw tightened. She had spent 2 decades building Whitmore Technologies from a small startup to a billion-dollar company. She had sacrificed relationships, sleep, and countless hours of her life to create something lasting and valuable. And now, one moment of lost control threatened to undermine everything. "What are my options?" she asked. Daniel consulted his notes. Option 1. Full public apology. You explain that you were overwhelmed, that you love your daughter, that you reacted poorly in a stressful moment. You ask for privacy and understanding. And show weakness. Victoria's tone made clear what she thought of that option. Option 2. Double down. You explain your concerns about your daughter's education and future. Position yourself as a parent making tough choices. Appeal to other parents who've struggled with similar issues. And look even more controlling and callous, Jennifer interjected. The public sympathy is overwhelmingly with Lily right now. Fighting that narrative will make things worse. Option 3, Daniel continued, is more complex. You lean into this moment as a learning experience. You acknowledge you were wrong. You talk openly about your own childhood trauma and fears about your daughter following in your mother's footsteps. You humanize yourself. Victoria laughed bitterly. You want me to air my family's dirty laundry on national television? I want you to save your company and your relationship with your daughter, Daniel said bluntly. Right now, you're the villain in a story that millions of people are emotionally invested in. The only way to change that narrative is to give them a reason to empathize with you instead of despising you. On the video screen, board member Patricia Caldwell spoke up. "Victoria, I've known you for 15 years. I've watched you build this company through sheer force of will and brilliant strategic thinking. But this isn't a business problem. This is a personal crisis that's become a business problem. You need to address the personal part first." Victoria stood abruptly, walking to the window. Outside, she could see a news van parked at the end of their long driveway, kept from the property by the security gates, but close enough to be a constant reminder that her privacy was gone. "I was protecting her," Victoria said quietly. "Everything I did was to protect Lily from the pain and disappointment I watched my mother endure." "I understand that," Daniel said gently. "And that's the story you need to tell. But you also need to acknowledge that the way you tried to protect her caused its own pain." Upstairs, Lily had ventured onto TikTok, where her performance had been remixed, analyzed, and celebrated by millions of users. There were vocal coaches breaking down her technique, musicians praising her natural ability, and countless videos of people singing along to her version of Amarillo by Morning. But there were also parody accounts mocking Victoria, dramatic reenactments of the confrontation, and discussions about wealth, privilege, and the pressure children of successful parents face. Lily felt like she was watching her life become a public spectacle, every private moment dissected by strangers. Her phone rang again. This time, it was an unknown number. Against her better judgment, she answered. "Hello? Lily Whitmore? This is Amanda Peterson from Nashville Star Records. I was at the concert last night, and I have to tell you, your performance was the most authentic thing I've heard in years. I'd love to discuss the possibility of a meeting." "I'm 16, Lily interrupted. "I'm still in high school. I can't." "We're not talking about dropping out and recording an album tomorrow," Amanda assured her. "But talent like yours doesn't come along often. At the very least, I'd like to talk to you and your parents about what possibilities might exist in the future." After Lily hung up, she sat staring at her phone in disbelief. A record label had just called her. An actual record label. 2 days ago, she had been a high school student whose biggest accomplishment was winning the school talent show. Now she was receiving offers from the music industry. The irony wasn't lost on her. Her mother's worst fears were coming true, and it was Victoria's own actions that had made it possible. By noon, the situation had escalated further. Robert's phone rang with a call from his own firm. 3 clients had asked whether his connection to that viral video would affect his work. His partners wanted to schedule a meeting to discuss optics and client relations. In the kitchen, where he'd gone to make coffee and escape the chaos, Robert found himself having a conversation he'd never imagined. "Mr. Whitmore, this is Calvin Morrison from the Nashville Tennessean. I'm doing a piece on last night's incident and wondered if you'd like to comment on—" Robert hung up without responding. His phone immediately rang again, this time showing Lily's school principal, Howard Blackwell. "Robert, I wanted to reach out before Monday. We've had several calls from parents who saw the video. Some are concerned about the family dynamic and whether it affects Lily's well-being. The school counselor would like to speak with Lily when she returns." "She's fine, Howard. She's handling this remarkably well, all things considered." "I'm sure she is. But protocol requires that we check in when there's been a public incident involving a student that might indicate family stress. We're also preparing for what I expect will be significant media attention on Monday. We'll have additional security and strict rules about reporters on campus." After the call ended, Robert slumped against the kitchen counter. His family was falling apart in the most public way possible, and there seemed to be no way to stop the hemorrhaging. Victoria emerged from her office around 1 o'clock. She looked exhausted, her usually impeccable appearance showing cracks. makeup slightly smudged, hair not perfectly in place, a wrinkle in her blouse. She found Robert in the kitchen and accepted the coffee he offered without comment. "The board wants me to make a public statement," she said finally. "They've drafted something about personal growth and learning from mistakes. It makes me sound weak." "Maybe that's not the worst thing right now," Robert suggested carefully. "Weakness is always the worst thing in business. You show weakness and people exploit it. Competitors move in, clients leave, investors panic. This isn't business, Victoria. This is our family. Everything is business." But the conviction in her voice wavered slightly. They heard footsteps on the stairs. Lily appeared in the kitchen doorway, still in pajamas, her phone clutched in her hand. She looked between her parents, uncertain of her welcome. "Lily!" Victoria started, but seemed unable to find the words to continue. The three of them stood in awkward silence, the weight of everything unsaid hanging heavy in the air. This was a family that had once been close, that had shared dinners and vacations and genuine love. But somewhere along the line, Victoria's fears and Lily's resentment had created a chasm that last night's events had widened into a canyon. "I have something to say," Lily announced, her voice steadier than Robert expected. "I've been thinking about this all morning, reading all the comments, watching all the videos, and I need you both to hear me." She looked directly at Victoria. "Mom, what you did last night was humiliating and wrong. You made me feel ashamed of something I should be proud of. But I also understand. Dad explained about your mother, about Catherine. I understand you're scared." Victoria's expression remained guarded, but something flickered in her eyes. "But here's what you need to understand," Lily continued. "I'm not her. I'm not going to throw my life away chasing an impossible dream. I'm smart. I get good grades. I have plans for college. But I also have this gift, Mom. I have something real, and pretending it doesn't exist won't make it go away." Victoria's hands trembled slightly around her coffee cup. "You have no idea what that world is like. The rejection, the constant disappointment, the years of your life wasted chasing. I'm not asking you to support me dropping everything and moving to a studio apartment in East Nashville," Lily interrupted. "I'm asking you to stop treating my love of music like it's a disease. I'm asking you to see that maybe, just maybe, I can honor this gift and have a stable, successful life." Robert watched his wife and daughter face each other across the kitchen, both strong-willed, both hurt, both desperate to be understood. This was the conversation they should have had years ago, before resentment built walls between them. "The record label called," Lily said quietly. "Nashville Star Records. They want to meet with me." Victoria's cup hit the counter with a sharp crack. "Absolutely not. I knew you'd say that, which is why I already told them no." Lily's eyes filled with tears. "Because even though I have the right to explore this, even though thousands of people saw something special in what I did last night, I don't want to destroy our family over it. But Mom, you have to meet me halfway. You have to stop seeing music as the enemy." Victoria turned away, her shoulders rigid. For a long moment, she said nothing. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. "When I was 9 years old, my mother left me with my grandmother for just a few weeks while she came to Nashville to make it big. Those few weeks turned into months, then years. She'd call occasionally, always with a new story about how she was this close to a record deal, this close to her big break. My grandmother was cold and critical, constantly reminding me that my mother was a failure and I'd better not turn out the same way." Lily and Robert remained silent, letting Victoria speak. "My mother finally came back when I was 14. She was broke, sick, and broken. The dream had destroyed her, but she couldn't let it go. She died 5 years later, still believing that if she'd just had one more chance, one more meeting, one more showcase. Watching her waste her entire life chasing something that would never happen, that shaped everything I am. "I'm not her, Mom," Lily said softly. "I know that. Intellectually, I know that. But when I saw you up on that stage last night, looking so happy, so certain, all I could see was history repeating itself. All I could feel was terror that I'd lose you the same way I lost her. It was the most vulnerable Victoria had been in years, perhaps ever." Robert moved to her side, gently placing a hand on her shoulder. This time, she didn't pull away. "You're not going to lose me," Lily said. "But you are going to lose me if you keep trying to control every aspect of my life. I need you to trust me. I need you to believe that I can make good decisions." Victoria finally turned to face her daughter. Her eyes were red, tears threatening to spill over. "I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to not be afraid." "Maybe we figure it out together," Lily suggested. "Maybe we set some boundaries and guidelines. I stay in school. I maintain my grades. I apply to good colleges. But I also get to explore music in reasonable ways. Voice lessons, maybe some local performances, songwriting. Nothing that derails my education, but nothing that kills this part of who I am." Robert felt a surge of pride in his daughter. At 16, she was showing more emotional maturity and willingness to compromise than most adults managed. She was offering her mother a bridge across that canyon, a way back to relationship. "The crisis consultants want me to do a public interview," Victoria said, seemingly changing the subject. "They think I should talk about my childhood, explain my reaction, apologize publicly." "Are you going to?" Lily asked. "I don't know. Every instinct I have says that showing vulnerability is dangerous, that people will use it against me, or people will see you as human, instead of as a corporate robot." Robert suggested gently. "The Victoria I fell in love with 20 years ago wasn't afraid to show emotion. She laughed and cried and let herself feel things. I miss that version of you." Victoria looked at him, really looked at him, for the first time in what felt like months. "That version of me didn't run a billion-dollar company. No, but she was happy, and she had real connections with people, including her daughter." The moment hung suspended, fragile and precious. Then Victoria's phone buzzed with an urgent notification. She glanced at it, and her expression hardened slightly. The vulnerable moment passing. "The stock is down 7% now. 3 board members are demanding my resignation." She looked at Lily. "Your voice is extraordinary. The world now knows that. But please understand, that moment of joy has cost our family dearly." "Victoria," Robert started, but she held up a hand. "I'm not blaming her. I'm stating facts. We're going to weather this, but it's going to take time and effort and careful management. Which means, Lily, that we need to present a united family front. No interviews without approval, no social media posts about last night, and definitely no meetings with record labels." "I already said no to them," Lily reminded her. "Good. Keep it that way. For now." Victoria gathered her coffee cup and turned toward her office. "I have damage control to orchestrate. Robert, I need you to draft a family statement, something brief about privacy and moving forward." She paused in the doorway, not quite looking back. "And Lily, I am sorry. Not for my concerns, which are valid, but for how I expressed them. You didn't deserve to be humiliated. It wasn't much, but it was something." Lily nodded, accepting the partial apology for what it was, the most her mother could offer right now. After Victoria left, Robert pulled Lily into a hug. "That was incredibly mature, sweetheart. I'm proud of you." "Do you think she'll ever really understand?" Lily asked into his shoulder. "I think she's trying." That's more than she was doing yesterday. The rest of Saturday passed in a surreal blur. The family statement was drafted, reviewed by the crisis consultants, and posted to all of Victoria's social media accounts. Our family had a difficult moment that became public. We're working through it privately and ask for respect and understanding during this time. Thank you to everyone who has reached out with kind words and support. The response was mixed. Some people praised Victoria for acknowledging the situation. Others saw it as a non-apology that avoided taking real responsibility. The think pieces continued, the videos continued to be shared, and the Whitmore family became a cultural touchstone for discussions about parenting, success, and the cost of achievement. By Sunday morning, the initial frenzy had died down slightly, but new developments kept the story alive. George Strait posted a message on his official social media. "I've been singing for a lot of years and have had the privilege of sharing the stage with many talented artists. Lily Whitmore is the real deal. I hope she keeps singing." The post was shared hundreds of thousands of times within hours. Music industry professionals began weighing in, discussing Lily's talent and potential. Several offered to work with her, to mentor her, to help her develop her gift. Victoria watched all of this from her home office, feeling control slip further from her grasp. This was exactly what she'd feared. The music industry circling her daughter like sharks, promising dreams that rarely materialized, setting up disappointments that would break Lily's heart. But mixed with the fear was something else. Something Victoria barely recognized. A tiny seed of wonder at her daughter's talent, at the genuine connection Lily had made with thousands of people through one song. Maybe, just maybe, Lily really was different from Catherine. Maybe talent and wisdom could coexist in ways Victoria had never imagined possible. On Sunday evening, the family sat together for dinner for the first time since the concert. It was awkward, conversation stilted, but they were trying. That had to count for something. "School tomorrow," Robert said, attempting normalcy. "Are you ready, Lily?" Lily pushed food around her plate. The principal called. "They're bringing in extra security because of media attention. Jessica says everyone's talking about it. This is going to be so weird." "Hold your head high," Victoria said. "You did nothing wrong. Let others deal with their discomfort." It was good advice, even if Victoria herself hadn't been able to follow it regarding her own situation. That night, as Lily lay in bed trying to sleep, her mind kept returning to that moment on stage. The feel of the spotlight, the sound of her voice amplified through the arena, the connection with thousands of people all sharing that song. It had felt like coming home to a place she'd never been. Her phone buzzed with a text from Jessica. "Ready for tomorrow's circus? I'll be there with you. We'll get through it together." Lily smiled. Whatever happened next, at least she had people in her corner. Her father, her friends, and maybe, just maybe, eventually, her mother would find her way back too. Monday morning arrived with the weight of inevitability. Lily stood in front of her bathroom mirror at 6:15, trying to decide who she wanted to be today. The girl who'd sung with George Strait? The daughter of a CEO going through a public crisis? Or just Lily Whitmore, 16-year-old junior at Hillsborough High School, trying to survive another week? She settled on jeans, a simple navy sweater, and her worn leather boots, the ones she'd been wearing at the concert. If people were going to talk anyway, she might as well be comfortable. Downstairs, Victoria was already dressed for battle in a charcoal suit and red silk blouse. She stood at the kitchen counter reviewing notes for her first board meeting since the incident. Her face a mask of professional composure that didn't quite hide the exhaustion underneath. "Coffee?" Robert offered, playing mediator as he had been for the past 48 hours. "Please." Victoria accepted the mug without looking up. "Lily, Charles will drive you to school. I've arranged for him to wait nearby in case the media presence becomes overwhelming, and you need to leave early." "Mom, I'll be fine. It's just school." "It's not just school anymore." Victoria finally looked at her daughter. "Your face has been seen by millions of people. Some will want to help you, some will want to use you, and some will want to hurt you just because they can. Trust me on this. Fame, even accidental fame, changes everything." There was something in Victoria's tone that made Lily pause. Her mother wasn't being controlling in this moment. She was trying to protect based on some understanding Lily didn't yet have. "Okay, Charles can drive me." The drive to Hillsborough High School was tense. Charles navigated through morning traffic while Lily watched Nashville wake up. Joggers on the sidewalks, buses rumbling past, the city preparing for another Monday. Everything looked normal, but Lily felt like she was viewing it through a distorted lens, like the world had shifted slightly off its axis. As they approached the school, Lily's stomach dropped. 2 news vans were parked across the street, cameras visible, reporters standing ready. A small cluster of students had gathered near the entrance, phones out, clearly waiting for her arrival. "Miss Lily," Charles said gently, meeting her eyes in the rearview mirror. "You keep your head up, you walk in with confidence, and you remember that you have nothing to be ashamed of. You hear me?" "Yes, sir." "Your grandmother, Patricia, would have been so proud of you Friday night. She always said you had the gift." Lily felt tears prick her eyes. Charles rarely talked about Robert's mother, but when he did, his words carried weight. He'd worked for the Whitmore family since before Lily was born, and he'd been devoted to Patricia during her final years. "Thank you, Charles." He pulled up to the drop-off area. Several students immediately turned, phones rising. Lily took a deep breath, grabbed her backpack, and opened the door. "Lily, over here. How do you feel about going viral?" "Lily, is it true your mom forced you to turn down a record deal? Are your parents getting divorced?" The questions came from students, not reporters, but they felt invasive nonetheless. Lily kept her eyes forward and walked toward the entrance where Jessica waited, a fierce expression on her face. "Back up, people! Give her some space!" Jessica linked her arm through Lily's and created a buffer with her body. "Seriously, Carson, I will kick you if you don't stop recording." Carson Mitchell, a senior who ran the school's social media accounts, lowered his phone reluctantly. "Come on, Jess. This is news. Lily's famous." "Lily's trying to go to class," Jessica shot back, pulling her friend through the main doors. Inside, the hallways buzzed with energy. Everyone seemed to be talking about the video. Lily caught fragments of conversations as she and Jessica made their way to their lockers. Over 15 million views now. Her mom looked psycho. George Strait said she's the real deal. Heard Nashville Star Records offered her a contract. At her locker, Lily found a note taped to the door. "Your voice gave me chills. Keep singing." It was signed by Hannah Brooks, a sophomore Lily barely knew. More notes were tucked through the vent slots, words of encouragement, requests for autographs, and a few nasty comments about her mother. "Don't read those," Jessica advised, plucking the negative notes out before Lily could see them fully. Too late. Lily had caught a glimpse. "Your mom was right. You embarrassed yourself. And attention seeker, just like all rich kids." First period was AP English with Mrs. Patricia Morrison, a no-nonsense teacher in her 50s who'd taught at Hillsborough for 20 years. As Lily entered, the room went quiet. 24 pairs of eyes turned toward her. Mrs. Morrison looked up from her desk. "Miss Whitmore, take your seat, please. We're discussing Hamlet's soliloquy this morning, and I believe you'll have insights into performance and public perception. It was perfectly pitched, acknowledging what everyone knew without making it the focus. Lily shot her teacher a grateful look and settled into her usual seat near the window. The class proceeded almost normally, though Lily caught several classmates sneaking glances at her. During a discussion about Hamlet's authenticity versus performed madness, Tyler Harrison, one of the more thoughtful students, raised his hand. "Mrs. Morrison, isn't there a connection here to what happened with Lily? I mean, she had this authentic moment on stage, just being herself and singing, and then it got turned into this performance everyone analyzed and judged. Kind of like how Hamlet can't have genuine emotions without the court interpreting everything." Mrs. Morrison nodded approvingly. "Excellent observation, Tyler. Miss Whitmore, would you care to comment?" All eyes turned to Lily again. She swallowed hard, then found her voice. I think the weird part is that the actual performance, singing with George Strait, felt totally real in the moment. I wasn't thinking about how I looked or what people would think. But now that millions of people have watched it, it's like it became something else. Something I don't fully control anymore. The difference between lived experience and mediated experience, Mrs. Morrison said. The moment you experienced versus the moment everyone else experienced through their screens. Both are real, but they're not the same thing. The discussion moved on, but something had shifted in the room. Lily wasn't just the viral video girl anymore. She was a classmate dealing with something complex, something worth thinking about seriously. At lunch, the cafeteria was less subtle. Lily and Jessica found their usual table, joined by their friend group, Tyler, Megan Wu, and David Patterson. But today, their table attracted visitors. Hannah Brooks approached first, shy but determined. "Lily, I just wanted to say your performance was beautiful. I play violin, and I've never had the courage to perform in public. You inspired me." "Thank you," Lily managed, surprised by the sincerity. More students came, some offering genuine compliments, others clearly hoping to increase their own social media following by association. Lily tried to be gracious to everyone, but by the end of lunch, she felt exhausted from the attention. "This is insane," she muttered to Jessica as they headed to their lockers. "Welcome to 15 minutes of fame. At least people are being mostly nice. Could be worse." It got worse in fourth period. Lily had study hall in the library, usually a quiet time to work on homework or read. Today, as she settled into a corner table with her laptop, she opened her email to find her inbox flooded. College spam, sure, but also from Ashley, Martini Country Music TV. Calm subject. Interview opportunity. "Dear Lily, I'm a producer for country music television, and we'd love to interview you about your experience at the George Strait concert and your passion for country music." From David. Chen, Good Morning, America. Calm subject. National interview request. Lily, Good Morning America is doing a segment on viral moments and authentic talent. We'd be honored if you'd join us for an interview. There were dozens more. Local news, national shows, podcasts, YouTube channels. Everyone wanted a piece of her story. Lily closed her laptop, feeling overwhelmed. This was what her mother had warned about. The attention felt simultaneously flattering and suffocating. Her phone buzzed with a text from her father. "How's school? Call me if you need anything." Another text followed from an unknown number. "This is Amanda Peterson from Nashville Star Records. I understand you declined to meet, but I'd love to leave my offer open. No pressure. Just wanted you to know the door is always open when you're ready." Lily stared at that message for a long time. When you're ready? as if it were inevitable that she'd eventually walk through that door. Meanwhile, across town at Whitmore Technologies headquarters, Victoria was facing her own nightmare. The board meeting had started at 10 and quickly devolved into an interrogation. Gregory Hawthorne led the charge. "Victoria, we need to discuss the tangible impact this situation has had on the company. Beyond the stock price, which has stabilized somewhat, we've had 3 major clients request meetings to reassess their partnerships. The Jenkins account, worth $20 million annually, has specifically cited concerns about leadership stability." "Leadership stability," Victoria repeated, her voice carefully controlled. "Because I had a difficult moment with my teenage daughter, suddenly 2 decades of successful leadership is in question?" Patricia Caldwell interjected, "No one is questioning your professional track record, Victoria. But perception matters. Right now, public perception links Whitmore Technologies with that viral video. With anger, with control issues, with poor judgment. I protected my daughter from making a decision that could harm her future." "You humiliated your daughter in front of millions," Gregory said bluntly, "and whether your intentions were protective or not, the optics are damaging our brand." Victoria felt her control slipping, that same loss of composure that had led to the concert disaster. But she'd learned something in the past 72 hours. Sometimes control had to be released, to be regained. "You're right," she said quietly. The room went silent. Victoria Whitmore never admitted being wrong. "My actions were damaging, not just to the company, but to my daughter and my family. I reacted from a place of fear rather than wisdom, and the consequences have been significant for everyone." Daniel Foster, the crisis consultant present at the meeting, nodded approvingly. This was the vulnerability they'd been coaching her toward. "The question," Victoria continued, "is what we do now. We can let this define us, or we can use it to demonstrate something valuable, that even successful leaders are human, that we face personal challenges, and that we're capable of growth and learning. I propose we lean into that narrative." "How?" Patricia asked. "I do the interview. I talk openly about my childhood, about my fears, about why I reacted the way I did. I apologize publicly and sincerely. And I pivot to talking about the work-life balance challenges that every working parent faces, particularly women in leadership positions. We turn this from a scandal into a conversation." Gregory looked skeptical. "That's a significant risk. Opening up about personal trauma could make you look weak. Or it could make me look human." Victoria met his eyes steadily. Every parent in America has had a moment they regret, a time they reacted poorly with their child. The only difference is that mine was recorded and went viral. I'm betting that more people will relate to that humanity than will judge it, if I own it completely. The board members exchanged glances. Finally, Patricia spoke. "I think it's the right move. But Victoria, if you're going to do this, you have to commit fully. No half measures, no corporate speak. Real emotion, real vulnerability." "I understand." "And," Gregory added, "you need to consider the long-term implications for Lily. Once you tell your family's story publicly, there's no taking it back. Your daughter will be forever associated with this moment." Victoria's stomach twisted. She'd been so focused on saving her company that she hadn't fully considered what further exposure would do to Lily. Her daughter was already dealing with unwanted attention at school. A national interview would amplify that exponentially. "I need to talk to my family first," Victoria said. "I won't make this decision without their input." That evening, the Whitmore family gathered in the living room, a formal space they rarely used, all cream sofas and tasteful artwork designed for entertaining clients rather than family discussions. But somehow, it felt appropriate for this conversation. Lily sat curled in a corner of the couch, still in her school clothes, looking younger than her 16 years. Robert occupied the armchair, his usual easy demeanor replaced by tension. Victoria stood by the fireplace, unable to sit, too much nervous energy coursing through her. "My board wants me to do a television interview," Victoria began without preamble. "A major network, probably Good Morning America or Today. They want me to talk about what happened, about my childhood, about why I reacted the way I did." "And you want to do it?" Robert asked carefully. "I think it might be the only way to salvage the company's reputation. But it would mean talking about my mother, about Catherine's failed music career, about things I've never discussed publicly, and it would mean dragging both of you further into the spotlight." Lily looked up, her expression unreadable. "So you'd tell everyone about your mom chasing her dreams to Nashville and failing?" "Yes. Wouldn't that just prove my point? That not everyone who tries makes it, but that doesn't mean the trying isn't valuable?" Victoria hadn't expected that response. She'd been prepared for anger about increased publicity, not philosophical challenges to her worldview. The trying destroyed her, Lily. She lived in poverty, worked terrible jobs, sacrificed everything, and died with nothing but regrets. Did she really have nothing? Lily pressed. Or did she have experiences and passion and moments of joy that you're choosing not to see because they don't fit your narrative about success? The question hung in the air, challenging decades of Victoria's carefully constructed beliefs. Robert cleared his throat. "I think what Lily's asking is whether you're willing to tell the whole truth, Victoria. Not just the parts that support your position, but all of it. The good and the bad. The dreams and the disappointments. The complexity of a life lived pursuing art." Victoria walked to the window, staring out at their manicured lawn. "I don't know if I can. I've spent so long telling myself that my mother's choices were simply wrong, that her path was foolish, that anyone following it would end up the same way. If I acknowledge that there might have been value in her pursuit, it changes everything." "Maybe everything needs to change," Lily said softly. "Maybe that's what this whole disaster has been trying to tell us." Victoria turned back to her daughter, really looking at her. At 16, Lily was becoming her own person, thoughtful, talented, brave in ways Victoria had never been. She wasn't Catherine, chasing an impossible dream with no backup plan. She wasn't Victoria, running from her past and building walls against feeling. She was something new, something that deserved room to develop without the weight of her family's baggage. "If I do this interview," Victoria said slowly, "I need to know you both understand what it means. More attention, more scrutiny, more strangers thinking they know our family's story. Lily, school will get harder before it gets easier. Robert, your clients may ask more questions. And I will have to be vulnerable in ways that terrify me." "Then why do it?" Robert asked. "Because the alternative is worse. If I stay silent, the narrative remains that I'm a controlling monster who crushed her daughter's dreams for no reason. If I speak, at least I can explain. Maybe not excuse, but explain. And maybe, in the process, other families going through similar struggles won't feel so alone." Lily stood and walked to her mother. "I'll support you, but you have to promise me something." "What?" "That you mean it. That this isn't just corporate damage control. That you're really willing to look at your past and your fears and maybe reconsider some things." Victoria reached out and gently tucked a strand of Lily's auburn hair behind her ear. A gesture of maternal tenderness that had become rare over the years. "I promise I'll try. I can't guarantee I'll change overnight, but I promise to really try." "Then do the interview," Lily said. "Tell our story. Maybe some good can come from all of this. The interview was scheduled for Friday morning. Good Morning America wanted Victoria in their New York studio, but she negotiated for a Nashville location. She wasn't ready to leave her family for this. They agreed on a local affiliate studio with Robin Roberts conducting the interview remotely. The days leading up to Friday were intense. Victoria worked with media coaches, practiced answering difficult questions, and dove into memories she'd spent decades suppressing. She requested photos from her grandmother's estate, pictures of Catherine as a young woman, full of hope and dreams, posing with her guitar outside the Bluebird Cafe in 1984. Looking at those photos, Victoria saw something she'd never allowed herself to acknowledge. Her mother had been happy during those Nashville years, at least sometimes. The photos showed a woman laughing with friends, performing on small stages, living fully even if she wasn't living successfully by conventional standards. Lily continued navigating her new reality at school. The initial frenzy had died down somewhat, but she remained a celebrity in the hallways. More significantly, she started receiving messages from other students about their own difficult family relationships, about their own dreams that parents didn't understand. Her experience had opened conversations about pressure, expectations, and the cost of achievement. On Wednesday evening, Lily made a decision. She knocked on her mother's home office door, where Victoria was reviewing talking points for the interview. "Mom, can we talk?" Victoria looked up, noting the determination in her daughter's expression. "Of course, come in." Lily sat in the leather chair across from Victoria's desk, the same chair where countless business deals had been negotiated. "I've been thinking about what you said about music being impractical, and I want to propose something. I'm listening. I want to take voice lessons, professional ones, with someone who can help me develop my technique properly. And I want to write music, not as a career necessarily, but as an outlet, something that's mine. I'll keep my grades up. I'll apply to good colleges. I'll do everything you want academically. But I need you to stop treating music like it's going to destroy my life." Victoria leaned back in her chair. Everything in her wanted to say no, to maintain control, to protect Lily from potential heartbreak. But she'd been doing serious work with a therapist over the past few days, unpacking decades of fear and trauma, and one thing had become clear. Her control was an illusion, and her protection was actually suffocation. "I'll agree on 2 conditions," Victoria said carefully. "First, the voice teacher has to be someone reputable who understands that you're a student first, not someone trying to push you into the industry prematurely. Second, we sit down together once a month and honestly assess how you're balancing everything. If your grades slip or your stress becomes unmanageable, we revisit the arrangement." Lily's eyes widened. "Really? You'd actually let me do this?" "I'm learning that letting you isn't really the right framework. You're becoming an adult. My job is to guide you, not control you. And maybe having a healthy relationship with music is better than having no relationship at all." Lily launched herself around the desk and hugged her mother fiercely. Victoria stiffened for just a moment before her arms came up to embrace her daughter. They stayed like that for a long moment, years of tension beginning to ease. "Thank you, Mom," Lily whispered. "Don't thank me yet," Victoria replied, but there was warmth in her voice. "We're still going to disagree about things. I'm still going to worry constantly. But I'm trying. That has to count for something." Friday morning arrived with crisp autumn air and clear skies. Victoria dressed carefully in a navy dress, professional but approachable, the crisis consultants had advised. Robert and Lily accompanied her to the studio, a show of family unity. In the green room, Victoria's hands trembled as a makeup artist worked on her face. She'd given presentations to hundreds of people, negotiated deals worth millions, but this was different. This required a vulnerability she'd spent her entire adult life avoiding. "You're going to be great," Robert assured her, squeezing her hand. "Just be honest. That's all anyone can ask." The studio was smaller than Victoria expected, just 2 chairs positioned in front of a backdrop showing the Good Morning America logo. Robin Roberts appeared on a large monitor, her warm smile attempting to put Victoria at ease. "Victoria, thank you for joining us today. I know this can't be easy." "Thank you for having me, Robin. And no, it's not easy, but it's necessary." Let's start with the moment everyone saw. What was going through your mind when you pulled your daughter off that stage? Victoria took a breath, feeling Lily and Robert watching from just off camera. Panic. Pure panic. "I saw my daughter up there, looking so happy, receiving that kind of validation for her musical talent. And all I could see was history repeating itself. All I could feel was terror that she'd end up like my mother. Can you tell us about your mother?" And Victoria did. She talked about Catherine Brennan, about the young woman who'd left Connecticut for Nashville in 1983 with a guitar and a dream. She talked about the phone calls that came less and less frequently, about waiting by the window for a mother who rarely visited, about the bitterness of her grandmother who blamed Catherine's foolishness for everything. "My mother died when I was 19, Victoria continued, her voice steady but emotional. "She was 42 years old. She'd spent 20 years chasing a music career that never materialized. She worked in bars, lived in terrible apartments, struggled constantly, and when she died, she had nothing to show for it except unpaid bills and broken dreams. That must have been devastating. It shaped everything about who I became. I vowed that I would never chase impractical dreams, that I would build a life based on stability and success, and that I would protect my daughter from making the same mistakes my mother made. But Lily isn't making those mistakes, is she?" Victoria's eyes found her daughter's off camera. "No, she's not. And that's what I failed to see. Lily is smart, responsible, and ambitious. She has a plan for her future that includes education and stability. But she also has this extraordinary gift for music. And instead of helping her integrate that gift into a balanced life, I tried to crush it entirely. I was so afraid of losing her to music the way I lost my mother, that I was actually losing her to my own fear." Robin Roberts nodded sympathetically. "What changed? What made you realize this?" "Seeing that video. Watching myself through everyone else's eyes. I saw what I looked like, controlling, angry, cruel. And I saw what Lily looked like, talented, vulnerable, happy. In that moment on stage, before I ruined it, she was purely herself. And I destroyed that moment because of my own trauma, not because she was doing anything wrong." "Have you apologized to Lily?" "Yes, and I'm apologizing again now, publicly." "Lily, I am profoundly sorry for humiliating you, for trying to suppress your gift, for letting my fears dictate how I parented you. You deserved better, and I'm committed to doing better." The interview continued for another 20 minutes. Victoria talked about the pressures of being a female CEO, about the work-life balance struggles that all working parents face, about the additional layer of complexity when your child's dreams don't align with your vision for their future. She acknowledged that millions of parents watching had probably had similar moments, maybe not recorded and viral, but just as painful and regrettable. She talked about seeking therapy, about doing the hard work of examining her past so it wouldn't continue to poison her present. By the end, Victoria wasn't just a villain from a viral video. She was a human being, flawed and struggling, trying to be better. The response was immediate and overwhelmingly positive. 3 months later, January brought cold rain to Nashville and an unexpected peace to the Whitmore household. The viral video had faded from the news cycle, replaced by newer scandals and stories. Whitmore Technologies' stock had recovered. The concerned clients had stayed, and Victoria's board had actually commended her for how she'd handled the crisis. But the real changes were happening in quieter, more profound ways. Lily sat in her weekly voice lesson with Donna Martinez, a Nashville session singer who'd worked with some of the biggest names in country music. Donna's studio was in a modest building in East Nashville, filled with vintage microphones and photos of recording sessions spanning 4 decades. "Your breath control is getting much better," Donna observed as Lily finished running through a difficult passage. "But you're still holding tension in your shoulders." Singing isn't just about your voice. It's about your whole body being relaxed and open. "How do I relax when I'm nervous?" Lily asked. "You practice until you're not nervous anymore. Confidence comes from competence. The more you train, the more you trust your instrument." It had taken weeks to find Donna. Victoria had insisted on vetting every potential teacher, conducting interviews like she was hiring an executive. But when they'd met Donna, even Victoria had been impressed. Donna was 62, had never been a star herself, but had made a successful career as a session singer and vocal coach. She understood the business's realities while respecting the art. "How's school?" Donna asked during their break. "Still dealing with the aftermath?" "It's gotten better. Most people have moved on. Though I still get asked to sing at parties and stuff, which is weird. I'm just regular me, you know?" "Except you're not regular," Donna said gently. "You have something special, Lily. The question is what you want to do with it. I don't know yet. Is that okay?" "It's more than okay. You're 16. You have time to figure it out. Just keep developing your gift, keep learning, and when you're ready to make decisions about your future, you'll have options." After the lesson, Robert picked Lily up. He'd taken to driving her to and from voice lessons himself, using the time in the car for conversation. "How was it?" he asked as Lily climbed into the passenger seat. "Good. Donna thinks I'm ready to start performing at open mic nights if I want to." "Do you want to?" Lily considered. "Maybe. It's scary, but also exciting." "Is that weird?" "That's exactly right. The things worth doing are usually both scary and exciting." They stopped for coffee on the way home, a Thursday afternoon tradition they'd developed. At the coffee shop, a woman in her 30s approached their table hesitantly. "Excuse me, are you Lily Whitmore, the girl from the Strait concert?" Lily braced herself, but the woman's expression was kind. "Yes, that's me. I just wanted to thank you. My daughter is 14 and wants to be an actress, and my husband and I have been so worried about her choosing such an unstable career. But after your mom's interview, we had the first real conversation about it. We're figuring out how to support her dreams, while also helping her build practical skills. Your family's story really helped us." After the woman left, Lily looked at her father with wonder. That's the 3rd time someone said something like that this month. Your mother's honesty about her fears resonated with a lot of people. Sometimes the worst moments can lead to the best conversations. At home, Victoria was working in her office, but her relationship with work had shifted. She still put in long hours, but she'd established boundaries. Dinner with the family at 7 p.m., 4 nights a week, weekends at least partially unplugged, and regular sessions with her therapist every Wednesday. The therapy had been transformative. Dr. Sarah Klein specialized in family systems and childhood trauma, and she'd helped Victoria understand how her mother's abandonment and subsequent failure had created a fear-based approach to parenting that was actually recreating the pain she'd hoped to prevent. "You're trying to protect Lily from abandonment by controlling her," Dr. Klein had explained in an early session, but excessive control feels like abandonment to a teenager. She feels like you don't see her, don't trust her, don't accept who she really is. That's its own kind of abandonment. The insight had been painful, but necessary. Victoria was learning to trust both her daughter and the process of letting go. Her phone rang. Patricia Caldwell from the board. "Victoria, I wanted to give you a heads up. We're announcing the Q4 results tomorrow, and they're exceptional. Best quarter in company history. The PR narrative has completely shifted. Articles are talking about Whitmore Technologies as a company led by authentic human leadership. Your vulnerability actually strengthened the brand." "That's wonderful news, Patricia. Thank you. How are things with Lily?" "Better. Still complicated, but better. She's taking voice lessons, writing music, and actually talking to me about her life. That feels like a miracle." After the call, Victoria allowed herself a moment of reflection. 3 months ago, she'd been standing in that arena, convinced that maintaining control was the only way to protect her daughter. Now she understood that true protection came from trust, support, and accepting that some risks were worth taking. Dinner that evening was chicken parmesan, Robert's specialty. The family gathered around the kitchen table, a more casual space than the formal dining room they rarely used. "How was your voice lesson?" Victoria asked Lily. "Really good. Donna thinks I'm ready for open mic nights." Victoria felt the old fear stir, but recognized it now for what it was. "That's exciting. Do you want to do that?" "I think so. There's one at the Bluebird Cafe on Tuesday nights. Amateur hour. Low pressure. The Bluebird Cafe, where Catherine had performed 40 years ago, where dreams were born and tested." Victoria felt the weight of history, but also the possibility of rewriting it. "I'd like to come watch, if that's okay," Victoria said carefully. "Only if you're comfortable with it." Lily looked surprised. "Really? You'd want to?" "I want to support you. I want to see you do what you love without letting my fears ruin it." "Okay then. Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Robert squeezed Victoria's hand under the table, pride evident in his expression. The conversation moved to other topics: Robert's new architectural project, Victoria's upcoming trip to San Francisco for a tech conference, mundane family logistics. It was ordinary and precious, precisely because it felt normal again. After dinner, Victoria found Lily in her room, strumming her guitar, the one that used to hide in the back of the closet, but now sat proudly on a stand near her desk. "Can I listen?" Victoria asked from the doorway. Lily looked up, still somewhat cautious but willing. "Sure. I've been working on an original song. It's not finished yet." She began to play, her fingers finding the chords with growing confidence. The melody was haunting, the lyrics about mothers and daughters, about fear and love, about the complicated legacy families pass down through generations. "You built your walls to keep me safe," Lily sang, "but walls can feel like cages. You fought your mother's ghost so long you couldn't see my face." Victoria felt tears streaming down her face. The song was about them, about their journey, but it wasn't angry or accusatory. It was achingly honest, and ultimately hopeful. When Lily finished, Victoria was openly crying. "That's beautiful, sweetheart. Truly beautiful. I've been processing everything that happened. Writing helps me understand it. Can I tell you something about your grandmother?" Victoria asked, sitting on the edge of Lily's bed. "Of course. I've been going through old boxes, things I haven't looked at in decades. I found letters she wrote me from Nashville, from when she first moved there. And they're not what I remembered. She talked about music, yes, but also about the community she found, the friends she made, the way singing made her feel alive. She had joy, Lily. Maybe her career didn't work out the way she hoped, but she had joy. Do you think she regretted it? Chasing her dreams? Victoria considered carefully. I think she regretted some of her choices. Leaving me, prioritizing her career over her relationships, not having better balance. But I don't think she regretted loving music. And I realize now that I've been afraid of the wrong thing. The problem wasn't that my mother loved music. The problem was that she didn't know how to love music and maintain healthy relationships. But that doesn't have to be your story. It won't be, Lily promised. I want both. The music and the family. The art and the stability. I think I can have both. I think you can too. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, the kind of silence that speaks of healing and understanding rather than distance and tension. Mom, thank you for trying. I know this isn't easy for you. Thank you for being patient with me and for having the courage to be yourself, even when I made it so hard. Tuesday evening arrived too quickly and not fast enough. The Bluebird Cafe was legendary in Nashville, an unassuming room in a strip mall where countless stars had been discovered and countless dreams had been tested. It only seated about 100 people, and the acoustics made every note crystal clear. Lily had performed for 15,000 people at the George Strait concert, but somehow this felt more intimidating. This was intimate, personal, a room full of serious music lovers who would truly listen. Victoria, Robert, and Jessica arrived early to get good seats. The room filled with a mix of aspiring songwriters, industry professionals, and music fans. Everyone there understood that they might be witnessing someone's beginning. The evening's host explained the rules. Each performer got 2 songs, strictly timed, no elaborate production. Just voice, instrument, and song. 5 performers went before Lily's name was called. Some were good, some were struggling, all were brave. The audience was respectful, applauding each performance regardless of technical proficiency. Next up, we have Lily Whitmore. The room stirred with recognition. Several people pulled out phones before being reminded by the host that recording was prohibited unless the artist gave permission. Lily walked to the small stage, her guitar slung over her shoulder, wearing jeans and a simple black top. She looked nervous, but determined. "Hi," she said into the microphone, her voice slightly shaky. "I'm Lily. Some of you might recognize me from, a video that went viral a few months ago." Polite laughter rippled through the room. "I'm going to sing 2 songs tonight. The first is a cover of one of my favorite songs, The House That Built Me, by Miranda Lambert. And the second is an original I've been working on." She began the Miranda Lambert song, and within the first verse, the room went quiet. Her voice had grown stronger and more controlled through her work with Donna, but it retained that raw emotional quality that had captivated people at the George Strait concert. She sang about home and memory, and the places that shape us, and everyone in the room felt those universal themes. Victoria watched her daughter with a mixture of pride and pain. This was what Catherine must have looked like all those years ago, young and gifted and full of hope. But unlike Catherine, Lily had support. She had family who would catch her if she fell, who would celebrate her successes without attaching their own worth to them. The song ended to enthusiastic applause. Lily took a breath, visibly gathering her courage for the original song. This next one is called Walls and Wings. I wrote it about my mom and me, about learning to understand each other. She began the song Victoria had heard in her bedroom, but this version was more polished, the lyrics refined. It told their story, the fear, the control, the breaking point, and the slow rebuilding. It was honest about the pain while also being hopeful about the future. You built your walls to keep me safe, but walls can feel like cages, Lily sang. You fought your mother's ghost so long, you couldn't see my face. But maybe we can find a way to turn these walls to wings, to take the fear that held us back and make it something that sings. Victoria wept quietly, not from sadness, but from recognition. Her daughter had taken their pain and transformed it into art, into something that might help others understand their own complicated family dynamics. When the song ended, the room erupted in applause. Several industry professionals in the audience exchanged meaningful glances. This wasn't just a viral moment or an interesting story. This was genuine talent with authentic emotional depth. After the performance, several people approached Lily with business cards and compliments. Victoria stood back, watching, ready to intervene if anyone crossed boundaries, but trusting her daughter to handle the attention. A man in his 50s approached Victoria instead. You're Lily's mother, right? I'm Tom Jackson. I'm a talent scout for Warner Music Nashville. Victoria felt her protective instincts flare. Mr. Jackson, my daughter is 16 and focused on her education. I understand that completely, Tom said respectfully. I'm not here to offer her a record deal or ask her to make any big decisions. I just wanted to say that when she's ready, whether that's in 2 years or 10 years, we'd be very interested in working with her. The combination of technical skill and emotional authenticity is rare. She has something special. Thank you, Victoria managed. I'll make sure she has your information. After Tom walked away, Robert appeared at Victoria's side. You handled that well. Did you hear him? When she's ready? Not sign here now and drop out of school. This doesn't have to be the nightmare I always imagined. No, it doesn't. Lily has a gift, and she also has a family that will make sure she has options and balance. That's what makes her different from your mother. Not the talent, but the support system. The family drove home together, Lily still buzzing with adrenaline from the performance. Did you see the woman in the front row crying? And that guy who said my original was radio ready? That was insane. You were extraordinary, Robert said. Natural and polished all at once. Victoria turned from the front seat to look at her daughter. I'm so proud of you, Lily. Not just for your talent, but for your courage. For being willing to put yourself out there, to be vulnerable, to share your art. Thanks, Mom. That means a lot coming from you. Can I ask you something? Victoria ventured. In your song, you talked about turning walls into wings. Do you think we're doing that? Or is that just artistic license? Lily considered. I think we're trying. I think we're both learning. You're letting me have music, and I'm understanding why you were scared. That's progress, right? That's significant progress. Over the following weeks, life continued to evolve. Lily performed at 2 more open mic nights, each time growing more confident. She started a YouTube channel where she posted original songs and covers, building an audience organically, rather than relying on viral fame. Victoria returned to her therapy sessions, continuing to unpack decades of fear and trauma. She reached out to some of her mother's old friends in Nashville, gathering stories about Catherine that complicated the simple narrative of failure Victoria had carried for so long. She learned that her mother had been loved, had brought joy to people, had lived a full life, even if it hadn't been financially successful. In mid-February, Victoria did something she hadn't done in 27 years. She visited her mother's grave. Robert and Lily came with her, standing in the cold Tennessee rain at the small cemetery in East Nashville. Victoria placed flowers on the weathered headstone. Catherine Marie Brennan, 1961-2000. She was so young when she died, Victoria said quietly. Younger than I am now. What would you want to say to her? If you could? Dr. Klein had asked in their last session. Victoria spoke those words now, with Robert and Lily as witnesses. "I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry I judged your choices so harshly. I'm sorry I couldn't see the joy in your life, only the failure. I'm sorry I let my fear of becoming you prevent me from understanding you. And I'm sorry Lily never got to know you. She has your gift, and I think you would have loved each other." Lily squeezed her mother's hand. "I wish I'd known her." "Me too, sweetheart. Me too." As winter turned toward spring, the Whitmore family found a new equilibrium. Victoria learned to ask about Lily's music with genuine interest rather than veiled concern. Lily learned to share her college plans and academic achievements, understanding that her mother needed that reassurance. They established a new tradition. Sunday evenings, Lily would play whatever she'd been working on that week, and the family would gather in the living room to listen. Sometimes, Victoria would share stories about Catherine, gradually reclaiming her mother's memory from shame. In March, Lily received her Stanford acceptance letter. She also received acceptances from Belmont University in Nashville, a school known for its music business program, and several other prestigious institutions. The family gathered to discuss her options, but this time the conversation was different. Victoria didn't push, didn't dictate. Instead, she asked questions and listened to Lily's reasoning. "I'm thinking Belmont," Lily said. "It has strong academics, but it also has incredible music connections. I could study business or communications and still develop my music. And I'd be close to home, which feels important right now." Victoria felt a flash of her old fear. Belmont was where aspiring music industry professionals went, a step toward the very world she'd feared. But she recognized the fear and chose not to let it control her. That sounds like a thoughtful choice. You've clearly considered multiple factors. What does your gut tell you? That Nashville is my home, that music is part of who I am, and that I want to figure out how to build a life that includes all the things I love: family, education, stability, and art. Belmont feels like the place where I can do that. "Then I support your decision," Victoria said, and meant it. On a warm April evening, George Strait played another concert in Nashville, his final tour stop in the city before retirement. Victoria surprised Lily with tickets, and this time the whole family attended with joy rather than tension. During the concert, George mentioned the viral moment from 6 months earlier. "I had the privilege of singing with a talented young lady named Lily Whitmore at this very arena last fall. I heard she's been honing her craft, and I just want to say, keep singing, Lily. The world needs authentic voices." The crowd erupted in applause, and several people in their section recognized Lily and congratulated her. This time, Victoria smiled and let her daughter enjoy the moment without interference. After the concert, as they walked to the car, Victoria said, "I need to tell you something, Lily. I was wrong that night. I was wrong to stop you from having that moment of joy. But I'm grateful for what came after. Sometimes we have to break before we can heal." "We did both," Lily agreed. "And we're still healing, but we're doing it together." 6 months later, in October, Lily started her freshman year at Belmont University. She moved into a dorm room just 20 minutes from home, close enough for family dinners, but far enough for independence. Victoria helped her unpack, fighting the urge to reorganize everything properly. She'd learned that letting go didn't mean not caring. It meant caring enough to trust. "You have everything you need?" Victoria asked, surveying the small space that would be Lily's home for the next year. "I think so. Classes start tomorrow. I'm nervous, but excited." "That's exactly right. The things worth doing are both scary and exciting. Dad says that all the time." "Because it's true." Victoria pulled her daughter into a hug. "I love you, Lily. I'm so proud of the woman you're becoming. Not just the singer or the student, but the whole, authentic person. Promise me you'll call if you need anything. I promise. And Mom, thank you for trying so hard to change. I know it hasn't been easy. Thank you for giving me the chance to try. That evening, Victoria and Robert sat on their back patio, watching the sun set over Belmead. The house felt emptier with Lily gone. But it was a natural emptiness, the kind that came from children growing up rather than relationships breaking down. "Are you okay?" Robert asked. "I'm better than okay. I'm proud and grateful. And still a little scared. But that's probably always going to be there." "She's going to be fine, Victoria. Better than fine. She has talent, intelligence, and, thanks to everything you've both worked through, a healthy relationship with her family. That's more than most kids have when they start college." Victoria nodded, watching the colors change in the sky. She thought about Catherine, about the young woman who'd sat on some other patio in Nashville 40 years ago, full of dreams and determination. She thought about that night at the Bridgestone Arena, about the moment when her worst fears had seemed to come true and everything had fallen apart. But then she thought about everything that had grown from that breakdown, the honest conversations, the therapy, the slowly rebuilt trust between mother and daughter. She thought about Lily's voice filling their living room on Sunday evenings, about open mic nights at the Bluebird Cafe, about learning to support rather than control. "You know what's strange?" Victoria said. "That viral video was the worst moment of my life, but it was also the beginning of becoming the mother Lily deserved. And the beginning of healing wounds you'd been carrying for decades," Robert added. "Yes, that too." Her phone buzzed with a text from Lily. "Settled in. Roommate seems cool. Already saw 3 people from my orientation group. This is going to be good. Love you both." Victoria replied, "Love you too. Remember, music and education. Balance. You've got this." 3 dots appeared, then, "I've got this, and I've got you guys. That makes all the difference." Victoria pocketed her phone and reached for Robert's hand. Their family had been broken and rebuilt, tested and strengthened. They still had challenges ahead. College decisions beyond freshman year, career choices, all the complications of Lily becoming an adult in the world. But they would face those challenges together, with honesty and trust instead of fear and control. They would honor both Catherine's dream and Victoria's hard-won wisdom, finding a path that belonged to Lily alone. In the end, that's what the viral video had taught them, that sometimes you have to be broken open in the most public, painful way to finally learn how to really see each other. That walls built from fear can indeed become wings if you're brave enough to let them transform. And as the Tennessee sun set on this October evening, the Whitmore family, fractured but healing, complicated but committed, faced their future with something they'd almost lost: hope.